Justice Gaines, Gaines. So I'm speaking on behalf of Direct Action for Rights and Equality, DARE. We primarily serve low-income communities for political, economic, and social justice. And we particularly serve communities in the south side of Providence, communities that will be directly affected by the building and construction of this project. The South Side is already targeted heavily with systematic racism. We're talking heavily policing, police brutality that occurs on a regular basis. We're talking an unfair and unjust educational system that you can see based on even the fact that an administrator assaulted one of the students in our high school a few weeks ago. The rent and economic policies there, the gentrification that is currently happening thanks to the hands of our mayor, and various other things that target the communities of color, the low-income communities of color in the South Side. This facility is a part of environmental racism that particularly affects people of color. When you look at global warming and when you look at climate change, the impacts detrimentally affect people of color across the globe far more than white people. So this isn't just an issue of, economy. This is also a civil rights issue, and it also directly affects people of color, and it is about racism just as much as it is about environment, and that needs to be understood by this council and by the people building this project. I also want to mention that in a lot of these hearings, sometimes things are seen as theoretical. These arguments are seen as in the future or possibilities, and part of your job as a council is to really figure out and predict what can happen. None of the concerns about this pipeline are theoretical. In March, we had a huge gas leak from a National Grid pipe that released 19 million cubic feet of gas in 4 hours. Shut down I-95. My house was a few feet away. You could see the cloud in the air of this gas coming throughout our neighborhoods. And this is natural gas. This is not just this isn't someone smoking a cigarette, right? So it's not like National Grid has the best record of making sure that the communities that its pipelines and things are near are particularly safe when things happen. They also, even last week or 2 weeks ago when the electricity went down, it took at least 24 hours for them to get electricity back up for millions of people across New England, right? So I want to make sure we understand that National Grid doesn't have the best record in making sure when things go bad, that it doesn't affect people negatively. Also, what I heard a lot when National Grid talked about this project and their feelings about it was a lot about economy, jobs, their business, but you didn't hear anything about the people. You didn't hear about the people who would be affected negatively by the environmental impacts of this project. Specifically, you didn't hear about any of the environmental impact that construction will have. Even in the report, they say post-construction there will be no environmental impact. It didn't talk about all of the environmental degradation that will happen during that construction with the contaminated soil and things like that. They talked about their customers in Boston and Narragansett. They didn't talk about any customers in Providence, the people who will actually be footing the risk for the liquefaction facility being built there. I also want to ask folks on this council, how many of you actually live a quarter mile or even a half mile away from this facility?
It's a statement, right?
No, it's an actual question.
Yeah, we'll continue.
Okay. None. Okay. And so I think that's a big thing, right? Because there are people in those communities that do live there and that are going to be impacted. And again, they're already targeted. They're either neglected or they're persecuted based on the fact that they're low-income communities of color. This is simply another extension of that. And in the age where people like to quickly condemn white supremacists marching to Charlottesville, people don't like to acknowledge how this is white supremacy. When you look at this council, when you look at who's here representing National Grid, I think you can notice something. I think we all can see that it's...
Can you keep your comments relevant to the...
I'm sorry, this is extremely relevant. And okay, and that's exactly my point, right? The idea that you think that race is not relevant to this is extremely wild to me, because race is so relevant to the building of this facility. This facility will affect people of color, and it is a part of racism. I need you to understand that. This is not some wild thought, right?
I understand. We all understand the points that you're making.
Okay.
Right? We understand that. And I want you to be able to say what you want to say. But no, because everyone gets 5 minutes. You're getting close to your 5-minute period, so just please wrap up. I respect your comments, and please wrap up.
Okay, I'm confused at why you would cut me off if they were relevant, but if you respect the comments, I'm just thrown off by that. The last thing I'll say is, you know, when I'm 23, right? When I was growing up, I was taught that global warming was this future thing. It would happen in the far distant future. It'd be when I had children. Global warming is happening right now. It's been happening significantly. It was happening in 2005, 2011. My whole life, global warming hasn't been some distant future. It's been destroying people's lives. There are millions of people in Puerto Rico right now without electricity. There are people across California, Texas, Mexico who have been destroyed because of effects of climate change. This facility being built in 23 months, that means in 2 years, we're still going to be contributing to climate change. If you all are supposed to be protecting our coastlines, no project like this can go forward because we are already feeling the effects heavy. And again, because this is relevant, this has everything to do with white supremacy and racism, and we, people of color, people who look like me, are going to feel it first.